coming back here again. And he scooped her up and he took her to his apartment. And she was too weak to really fight. She would be like, people are going to look crazy at you, And he's like, I don't care. You're leaving. You are not coming back here ever again. And so he takes her to his apartment. And then he lets her know, you can stay in Mia's apartment since she doesn't use it anymore. Because, she lives with Gabe now since they're getting married. And so at first, of course she declined. And she's like, no, I can't do that. But, at the end of the day, where else is she going to go? You're just going to go back to living on the street? Like, no. So, initially she just goes ahead and she decides, screw it, might as well just give in. So, when they're in the apartment, they're at his apartment still. And he kind of just tells, he demands to know everything. He wants to know it all, like, from start to beginning, like, how did you get to this place, And so she starts to tell him that when she was about 18, she was in a car accident. Both of her legs broke, and she had got addicted to the painkillers that she was prescribed. And the reason she got arrested was because she had ran out. She couldn't, afford to get a doctor or anything like that to get her a prescription again. And so she bought them illegally. And that was when they were doing a swoop and, investigating someone else. And so she got caught up in it and she got arrested. And then she told the story of Jack, but she didn't say that he wasn't her blood brother. She just said that's her brother, and that they grew up in foster care, and that's all she would really give, and so we come to find out she didn't fall and hurt herself. She was attacked by men that were looking for Jack. So Jack clearly gave her info to these guys so they could come and collect from her, knowing that she didn't have the kind of money that he owed, and he owed $5,000. And so after telling Jace all this stuff, she freaks out. And I guess in that moment, you're looking at your surrounding and you're looking at, you have all this baggage, all this crap, and you're in this beautiful place. You just don't belong here. And she felt so ashamed. And so she bolted, and she bolted out of the apartment. So Jace called downstairs to the security and had them stop her. And so he goes down to get her, and he takes her back up again, and he talks to her again. And she just can't understand, why he wants to care about her, why he wants to take care of her. She doesn't get it. And so he had explained to her, you're hurt. He had took care of her, wounds and shit like that. And he explained to her, don't get it twisted. I do plan on taking, screwing you again, but you've been through a lot and you just need to rest. And so he just held her that night. So the next day he goes to the office for a meeting, and him and Ash are still at odds, and Gabe can tell, because you got to remember, these people have been friends since they were early 20s. They're 38. Yeah, these people. And so after the meeting, Gabe pulls Jace aside, and he's trying to find out what the hell's going on. And Jace tells him, basically what's transpired with him and Bethany. And all Gabe wants to know is if he needs any help. And it kind of shocked Jace, because Jace was kind of thought, Gabe was going to be judgmental and all that. But he's like, listen, I don't know what all's going on with you and Ash. I'm just here if you need me, but you need to make it right with Ash. He's like, we've been friends for too long and we're business partners. So this doesn't work. You have got to go and apologize and make this right. And so he goes in to go talk to Ash. He apologizes. It's a half-ass apology. It's so half-assed. But he does this little apology. And Ash was like, I'm going to point some things out to you. He's like, and you're going to be probably upset with me, but I'm just being honest with you. He's like, you don't think that this whole thing with Bethany is because, like, Mia no longer needs you like that, so you can't be the protective older brother, and you're just kind of transferring that protectiveness over to Bethany. And Jace is like, nope, that's not what this is. And Ash was like, again, why would you go through with that threesome if you knew you didn't want to share? He's like, that just doesn't make sense. And Jace told him again, he's like, listen, once she agreed to it, that's what it felt like. That was the only way I could have her. So I wasn't going to back out of it, but you could tell I kind of gritted my teeth through the whole thing. So Jace tells Ash everything that, what's going on with Bethany, about how she got attacked, why she got attacked. And so Ash is like, damn, that's so fucked up. He's like, but you know what? I know some people. Don't ask me how I know them, but I do. He's like, and I'll make the issue go away. So Ash makes some calls, and he's going to get it. He's going to get it taken care of. And then he also finds out that Jack isn't her blood brother. So he lets, Jace know, now listen, I know you're crazy about the girl. He's like, but you do need to realize that she just could be scamming you, dude. Like, that could be what's going on. So then Jace gets a call from, he's put security detail on her as well. I think their names are Kaden and Trevor. And he gets a call from them that she's evaded them. So now, hearing that from Ash, she's left out. It's not helping with the mental psyche of Jace right now. So then we go back to Bethany's perspective and find out she's breaking away from her security detail so she can go find Jack, because she's worried, which is crazy, because it's like, he's the one that gave you up. He owes some money to some people, and you've gotten hurt because of it, and she's still worried about him. It's like, oh gosh, I don't ever want to love like that, even if it is a sip. Oh gosh, that's just crazy. Oh my gosh. So she finds him near one of the not so great spots in New York City, and he can tell by looking at her. He's like, you look good, you need to stay away from me. And she tries to get him to go back to the apartment, that he has, Mia's old apartment. He declines. He's like, no. And he tells her, you got a good thing going, don't mess it up. And she's like, how can I go back to an apartment and have all these nice things and know that you're still living out here on the street? Like, I can't do that. Like, I'm not built that way. Like, you've always looked out for me. Like, I can't just turn my back on you. And he tells her again, like, just don't mess up what you've got going on for me. And he leaves. And so she goes back to the apartment, and she had left her phone at the apartment. So she's got a ton of missed calls, messages from both Jace and the security detail guys, Kaden and Trevor. And not too long after she gets there, the guys come in. They bolt in, and then they call, Jason. They're like, oh, she's here. She looks okay. We haven't briefed her yet, So they're like, what the hell? Like, are you okay? Are you hurt? And she's looking at them puzzled. She's like, no, I'm fine. And they're like, why the hell would you leave like that? And she was like, I had to go see about Jack. And they were pissed, because it was like, that's their job too. That she's having them risk losing their job because she's skating off in the city. So Jace comes in, and he is pissed. And because of the look on his face, she's thinking like, oh, he's going to kick her out. So she goes to go get her stuff, and he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, you're going to throw me out, I know. And he's like, no, I'm not. He's like, but we got to have a talk, because you and this Bolton got to stop. So he sits her down. She tells him, she went to see Jack. She wanted to make sure he was all right. And he lets her know, yeah, and I know Jack isn't your blood brother, so you need to let me know what's going on. Or have you been trying to scam me? Like, what's really going on? So she looks hurt and like, oh my gosh, like, how could you think that? So she goes, because he had given her like a lot of cash. So if she need to buy anything, she would have it. And so she goes in the room. She gets the envelope full of money that he had given her, and she gives it to him. And there was enough money in there that she could have paid Jack's debt, And she was like, I would never do that to you. She's like, I wouldn't steal from you. She's like, everything you've done for me, I would not steal from you to go help to help Jack. Even he put himself in that, I do understand that, and so I wouldn't do that to you. And so then, of course, he felt horrible. He apologized to her and everything. And she had also, it was what it was, She felt bad, but then he kind of was needing to tell her about how he really is. And so he's kind of like Gabe, right? He needs total control. And he needs her to submit. And normally, sometimes when people hear that word submit, it's an awful word, and it's not. But for some people, it is. But for her, it was so funny because her attitude was like, man, you know what? I'm okay with it. I'll do it. Because you know what? At this point, I'm tired of being independent. This has been rough, So if you want to take care of me and make sure I'm okay, but you want me to be honest with you, and I can do that. That is not a problem. But she knows this is probably going to entail a little more than what he's saying, but he's a little afraid to tell her everything because she's a flight risk. Okay, she runs, so he's kind of afraid to kind of let her know everything that he's into. But he does let her know that, I like total control. And she understands that. She had also told him, like, I hope this isn't like a joke. Like, I hope this isn't like a game for you, because that would be the absolute cruelest thing for me to have this great life with you and then you throw me back into that real world. Like, I hope you are legit with me, that this isn't a game. And he let her know that even if she didn't submit, if she told him she didn't want him anymore, he would always take care of her. She would always be provided for. And at that moment, for him, it was just, he just needed something of her. It didn't matter what it was. However he could get her, he would take it. So during this conversation, even though he said he was going to wait to tell her everything, he kind of was like, you know what? Because at that point, she kept asking him, you need to let me know what it is that you expect. Like, I need to know fully what exactly is it that you need? And so he's like, I like to give pain. He's like, it's never something that you can't take. And if you can't take it, you can always tell me to stop and I'll stop. He's like, but I do like to inflict pain, but that pain does come with, extreme pleasure. And so, again, he told her, again, you can always tell me if it's too much, I'll stop, and that'll be that. But he does have those same, like I said, him and Gabe are pretty similar in, having those type of, extreme needs. So they go to, there's a Christmas party every year that Gabe, Ash, Mia, and Gabe's parents, they always do. And, of course, Bethany's his girl, so, she's coming. And she was super nervous about going, because two things, meeting everybody, and then also this is going to be her first time seeing Ash again since that threesome on the initial night. So she's nervous, and with good reason. Totally understandable. And so when they get to, when she gets there, though, she does feel more relaxed. Mia, she's super sweet. She's, she's so happy that her brother